We are all good. We are loaded up. We are psyched. Think 350. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol, aka Naughty Boss, live on our 350th episode with
TwoSistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. I am just grinning from ear to ear because we have an amazing lineup today. You know, before we got on, I said, everyone who's with us today and one person that we are waiting for are all repeat offenders, but in such a good way. And we love you all. And we are so excited to share this milestone with all of you. So it's Mindset Monday. Everybody's kind of coming off the holiday weekend. So Carol, so I thought we would start, you know, more kind of off the cuff. As everyone knows, we're authentic, real, little quirky. Sometimes I'll butt in with, I have something about something, but it's really nothing about nothing. So
absolutely. Yeah. I love the fact that we always kind of rewind from the weekend of like what happened, what was the quirky thing that happened, or that we had a pivot, or that we had to like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen that way. And that's part of life. And we share that because we always are authentically us, because we know you are also authentically you. And there's nothing wrong with that. You embrace all the weird stuff that goes on in your life. So obviously, coming off a very long weekend of prep work and food and family and friends, we got to talking about all last week about the preparation of the feast, the preparation of the holiday, and what was really the importance of gathering together. And we didn't want to get lost in the shuffle of the prep work so much that we forgot to be in the moment. So my funny in the moment was we were talking about a lot about prepping the turkey, right? Janice had concerns because she's not normally the entertainer. And we talked about the turkey prep, and ironically, we gave you some great tips on, you know, if it's stuffed, if it's not stuffed, how many pounds, does it have a pop-up timer, is it frozen, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Well, I put in my, you know, organic, beautiful, fresh turkey in the oven. It's got the pop-up timer, everything's and just smelling so good. And, you know, like the timer popped up, well, the pop-up timer popped up, pulled it out, and sure enough, the flipping legs were not done. Because they should be able to be dull, right? So the ironic thing was we had girlfriends coming over as well. They also made a turkey in the deep fryer type thing. So we had two kinds. So we carved off all the breast meat because the breast meat was done, but the legs just were not. Threw that kind of bare-breasted turkey back in the oven and sliced up the fryer turkey in. More than enough for everybody, but the whole time I was laughing. Everyone's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because all week I'm giving my sister directions and my legs weren't even done.
Oh, I just want to say I had no popper, but I kind of calculated it from what we chatted about. And I had two timers on just so I wouldn't really screw it up. But there was no pop-up timer, but it was, I got to tell you, this turkey was the bomb. It was so moist. But I got to tell you, at this point, I'm so sick of turkey. But enough of the turkey talk. Let's introduce our guests. We're so excited to have on with us, obviously, some prior guests with us. And I want to kind of go around the table like we did before we got on live. So I would like to reintroduce Chris Templeton. Chris, say hello to our 350th episode.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Really pleased to be here, especially with this esteemed group of co-presenters.
Oh, we're excited to have you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay.
A little, you want Chris to start it off? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, Chris, why don't you tell us about the stories we tell?
Okay. Nutshell. What I've developed since 2003 is a piece that is based on three questions. What's the story I'm telling? Is it serving me in this moment? And can I tell a more authentic story? So I think Paul and I have a lot in common in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. What happens is from those three questions, you get a model, it turns out. And basically, if you're telling a story that isn't serving you, we say that is above a horizontal line And that's not serving you, and you're in little me land, where fear and victimization and powerlessness live, where we berate ourselves, where we judge others. But if you tell a story that's authentic, it's below that line, and that's authentic me, and that's where I'm centered and grounded. It's where I feel meaning and purpose in my life. Don't tend to ask those questions about meaning and purpose when I'm below the line. And so it's really lovely from the standpoint of understanding myself. It's prescriptive because I recognize that I want to be below that line in authentic me land. And then it also, I think almost as importantly, it helps me to understand the people around me and how they're behaving. And that I realize very quickly that if somebody's in little me land and feeling victimized or upset with me, the last thing I want to do is run up there and join them. I want to stay authentic below that line and help them to come down below that line. So that's the three questions and the model in a nutshell.
I love that. And I love the way that, it's simplicity. We always talk about simplicity, the power of three. And obviously we got the power of three going here because it does break it down for people to really understand, like, my feelings, how I'm feeling, where I'm going, what level I'm at, and, how can I kind of work that in with the people around me? Because a lot of times we have to do a self-check.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, it has changed my life in terms of, I've probably been practicing this for about 15 years, and I have a marriage that anybody would die for. I have kids that love us and we love them, and friends that are just amazing. And it's because we all have kind of figured out how to be below that line more and more of the time. It's a way better place to live.
I like that too. And that's one thing that Jan and I have always preached, really all 350 episodes about, sometimes the road is rocky and it's bumpy. But if you are going to serve others, you've got to always serve the good with the bad, because that's what is relatable to people. They don't want to see somebody picture perfect, in a glorious studio, like all the bells and whistles. Yes, that stuff is awesome. And it doesn't mean you don't work towards those goals. But when you really share the rawness of the journey, whatever the journey may be, whatever profession you're in, it is definitely more relatable. Don't you think, Jan?
Oh, absolutely. And, thank you so much for sharing that. And I see a collaborative project between Chris and Paul at some point for sure. Definitely. Carol,
Absolutely.
Sue, yeah, absolutely. Carol, Sue, would you like to introduce our next guest?
I would love to. And I'm going to introduce someone who filled in for me, which I appreciated. Halfway through her book, but I absolutely love. Let's introduce Carolyn. Carolyn, give us a little bit of background. Obviously, talk about your amazing book and how you serve others.
Well, I am so excited to be here on the episode today. And also, I'm very intrigued by fellow guests. So the dog just came in. But I have been passionate about helping women for years. And so that has been something that, has always intrigued me, helping women to define their self-worth, how to have impact, and how to really make a difference in the world. And my recent project is my book, The Women at the Table, Ordinary Women, Ordinary Moments, Extraordinary Impact. And God inspired me, gave me this assignment several years ago, and it took me a little bit of time to sort of figure out, okay, I can do this. But what I saw through my process is that I was going through a process that a lot of women, and my audience is women. I know people in general go through this, but there is something that there's a goal, there's a vision, there's a mission that you want to accomplish. And the first thing we do is we step into self-doubt. How can I do this? I don't know how to do this. And so the Women is basically a tool, a very simple tool, helping women to have impact in the lives of others, one conversation at a time. And so in the book, I share some of the conversations that I had with women who sat around my mother's kitchen table, and including my mother, and how those simple conversations impacted my life. And the thing that I think is so amazing is that, you know, sometimes we think, oh, if I could just be mentored by Oprah, or if I could meet Jill Biden, or, you know, whoever, you know, fits that descriptive for you. I would feel so amazed, and I would learn so much if I could spend some time with a Buffett and learn how to invest. But sometimes those conversations that can have the greatest impact on our lives are those people that we say are just ordinary. They don't have a bank account, you know, they don't have a college degree necessarily. They don't live in an exclusive neighborhood, but they are people who have determined to impact the lives of others with the wisdom that they carry. And we all have wisdom, we all have knowledge that can impact someone else. And so that's what my book is all about. And that's my mission at this moment, is to take what's inside you, don't carry it around with you, but to take it and give it away every day. You can do that by starting a conversation and being curious about somebody else.
I absolutely love that, because we often always talk about those dreams and those goals that, you know, that may be deep within you. And like you said, you know, you may share them with a friend. That's usually, if you usually have an idea, you're either sharing it with, you know, an immediate loved one, or a girlfriend, or a guy friend, whatever it may be. You're sharing that knowledge, and, oh, only if I could, or what if I did this, what if I did that? And sadly, too many people let those dreams and goals go, what we call go to the graveyard with them.
Right.
And we share that, don't, you know, always take that leap of faith, because even though that leap of faith may not necessarily bring you to that end goal that you initially thought of, it actually may pivot that initial dream and form it into something else that you had no idea was out there, or that you could serve. And all of a sudden, oh my God, that whole process led me to this process.
Right.
It's usually from that ordinary conversation of just kind of sharing with your friend. What if we ever did this? Or, I mean, how many times if somebody can relate, you'll see something that comes up on one of those infomercials. Why didn't I think of that? Or
yeah,
think of that.
Simple. And you know, Carol, so one thing that I have realized is that, you know, sometimes we are trying to get to a destination, and we think that we have to immediately start out on this path. Well, our path is this conversation. Conversation leads to this conversation. That conversation leads to this conversation. And then before you know it, you have reached your goal, or, you know, you have the information that you need, or the insight, or you're where you're supposed to be. But it's taken you through a little bit of a circuitous route.
Yep. Serpentining, that's what I call it. We're doing a little serpentine. I love that, Carolyn. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And Jan, who would you like to introduce this time?
Oh my gosh, we have so many amazing people here, and we love them all. I am going to introduce next Ms. Helen Rose. And Helen, oh my gosh, I would say salt. She's a mixture, I think, of both of us, salt and pepper.
For sure.
Yes, indeed. Just like my hair. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, this is amazing. And congratulations on 350. That is incredible. And
Thank
just
you so
listening
much.
to Chris and Carolyn chatting, it's funny. So what I do is I have this little island that's called grief. And so everything that I do surrounds that island. And it was to Carolyn's point about we often don't even know that we've grieved something. So we're walking around feeling something and we don't know why. We're angry, we're sad, all of those things. So I was a child of the foster care system, for anyone who doesn't know, and really had no landing pads till I was probably about 12 years old. So it was a pretty brutal journey. So when I was writing my book, 53 Grove Road, someone had said to me, oh, wow, you've done a lot of grieving. And I was like, what? Because I thought grieving was just about death. It is about loss of all kinds. So that's what I do with my clients. And when I'm speaking, and my podcasts are all about what we thought was happening in our lives. Something came in, whether by our doing or someone else's, or serendipity, which we were talking about earlier that Carolyn was saying, and where you found your gift in that journey. And to Chris's point about that line, it's like, you can choose to be the victim, you can choose to be unhappy, you can choose to sit in that mud, or you can choose to be happy. And the work is hard, without question. So you just kind of slog through it. And that's what I do, is I help people live their dream life. And I have something coming up, which is very exciting for me, but I'm going to be 60 in April. And it's like, how the heck did I get here? Yeah, this is the part where you say I don't look like I'm 60. So this it's like, how did I get here? And how did I get to be exactly standing where I want to be? Because I'm living my dream life. Doesn't mean that it doesn't always pull me back, triggers and all those things. So, I mean, I could talk for days, as you two lovelies know. But I love what I do, and I'm always just so blessed to be. Don't you guys think that every time you're with a group like this, it's just perfect every time?
I think it's so magnetic because it's the energy. I mean, I know that everybody, I know myself included, sometimes I feel, and we've probably often talked about Zoom fatigued or video fatigued. For instance, my girlfriend said to me the other day, "Oh, your makeup looks beautiful." Well, haha, I have filters on. But because you just get so, you still feel that energy, but it's a different kind of energy. And being in this space right now with all of you I feel that just such a sense of happiness, such a sense of gratitude. So yeah, it's definitely magnetic for sure.
Yeah, and I think another fatigue is people fatigue, and I think we're certainly seeing that right now in COVID. And it's really important to be with the people who support you and walk with you. Certainly not the ones that are, for whatever their journey is. And I think there's that piece too, is finding the compassion for everybody, even though you may not understand them and you don't connect and all of that. I know I certainly have people fatigue.
And that is so true, and it's like drawing that fine line, and we often talk about that. We have a lot of listeners that will message us as like, how do you deal with that that controversy of you've got that relationship, and the last 2 years people have noticed whether it's different ideologies, different beliefs, whatever they may be. And you've had this person in your life for so long, and you've kind of hit this brick wall of, wow, like our ideologies are so different. How do we either make it work, or is it okay to part ways? And we've often felt that way, that we're not in control of anyone else's belief system. We're just not. But we are in control of how we react and what actions we take. And it's okay to put the pause button on. It's okay to say, I love you. In that season, you were such a blessing to me, and you will always be that blessing, but I need to take my own little time out, or I need to, have a little time in between. It's okay to kind of just pause it. And it's okay to, if it's gone the other way, way too far, it's okay to say, we served each other for the time that we had, and it's okay to just kind of depart, but always do it with kindness, and always doing it with, no remorse, no anger. But people do change. And I think for the last 2 years, that is part of this whole fatigue, is if, at least for me personally, if it's too much exhaustion to put into a relationship, because we know relationships takes two. If you find that you're constantly the giver and constantly the receiver of the bad end of whatever is going on, it's exhausting. And it's okay to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. And I think some people are afraid. And I think the part of the journey is learning that it's okay.
Yeah. And there's also in a weird way, and it's not always immediate, but the the lesson that they have given you is often what you need to do. And when someone isn't aligning with you, it is absolutely okay to walk away with respect and thank them for their time with you, and off you go, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, though. I
It
mean,
is
it's
hard.
definitely not easy. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Wow.
Thank
Great
you.
stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. So Cassu, you're up. Introduce our next guest.
I'm going to introduce our next guest. I love his energy. I mean, he has got one of those journeys that is not only inspiring, it's everlasting inspiring. Because whenever I have one of those down days, I often think of Paul. He doesn't know that, and that's part of his impact on others. So without further ado, I want to introduce Paul.
Hey guys, 350. How about that?
We're
It keeps
excited.
going and going, right, guys?
It does.
Right on. Mindset Monday.
Couldn't be any better, right? To have this fall on Mindset Monday with all of you that are adding so much value to exactly what we do need for mindset. And I love that. So Paul, you've been a frequent guest of ours, and your story is always so impactful. So we would love you to share whatever piece of that and kind of where you're at right now.
Okay, absolutely. So for some of your newer viewers and for some of the panel, I was born with something called cerebral palsy. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's lack of oxygen to the brain at labor. And as a result, it can leave one side of the body paralyzed. And this is permanent. This doesn't go away. It's for life. Well, when I was born, I wasn't moving the right side of my body very much. And naturally, my mother was very concerned about that. So she got me to get some testing done. And it indeed came back that I did suffer from cerebral palsy. And the doctor thought it was so severe that he thought that I would never be able to walk. And when I got to a certain age, it would be a good idea to get me into a wheelchair because that was going to be my life going forward. Well, thank goodness for a great mom. That is not my story. She got a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, a fifth opinion, finally found a physician willing to help. And with this physician's help, and me doing physical therapy 5 to 6 times a week, and my mom's unrelentless attitude to make sure that I walked, I was able to walk at age 3. Now, I don't really remember that, but I do remember being put into soccer when I was 5 years old, probably being able to run 25 to 50 yards before my leg would give out. So I'm basically staying there. Kids are playing soccer all around me. And I remember going to my mom, and this has set my life for my life going forward. I said to my mom, I don't want to play soccer anymore. This is ridiculous. I'm staying there. These kids are playing soccer around me. They're teasing me. I don't want to do this anymore. And my mom telling me, Paul, if you don't want to play soccer anymore, that's fine, but you need to honor your commitments. So you need to finish out that soccer season. And after that, if you don't want to play soccer anymore, that is fine. And that's how it went down. I'm 41. I've never played soccer since, but I've kept my promises. If I say that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it because that's what my mom instilled with me. And I got a big break when I was about 7 years old. I got surgery on my right foot to tighten up the tendons, to give me a little bit more spring in my step. And I don't know how big of a game changer this was, but I remember my first day of PE, physical education. They told me to run a lap, and I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. I'm going to run 25 to 50 yards. My leg's going to give out, and that's the most I can do. But because the surgery was different, I was able to go past that point. And I remember saying to myself, come on, Paul, you got this, buddy. Keep going, keep going. And I finished the lap with the other kids. And the outside, I kept it cool, but the inside was like, yes, yes, yes. The first time in my life where I just fit in. I didn't stand out. I was just part of the other kids. And things got easier for me after the surgery, but I wouldn't consider them easy. My parents got divorced, and I switched schools right around when I was getting to junior high. And as you guys all know, when you're 12 or 13 years old, that's just a tough age. These kids have been going to school with each other for a long time. They have their cliques. And I'm going to school not only as a new kid, but I walk with a limp and I hold my right arm differently. So I could not break in. I was bullied, teased quite a bit going through this. It was just really tough on me. And on top of this, my mom raised me Catholic, so she wanted me to go to a Catholic high school. I had to take an assessment test to see where I was going to be placed academically when I got to high school. Well, I must have bombed the test because when I met with the principal and my mom, the principal tells the both of us that we're going to put Paul at the lowest level possible. and I don't expect much from him. He does not seem like he's college material. So now I feel like I'm stupid. Plus, I'm getting bullied and teased in school. I'm crying myself to sleep. And I don't know what came over me, but midway through my 8th grade, I was sick and tired of feeling angry and sad all the time. So I thought to myself, what can I do to distract me from these feelings? And I thought, well, I love baseball. What if I try to make my varsity baseball team? So I started playing fall ball, winter ball, spring ball. And if I wasn't doing that, I was throwing a tennis ball against the wall. And the great thing about this, I know this now, I didn't know this at the time, I was changing the energy that I was sending out to these kids. I had my shoulders back, my head up. And as a result of this new energy, they were sending a different energy back towards me. Instead of bullying and teasing me, they started rooting for me. And with help from coaches and friends, I was able to make my varsity baseball team. And it was an awesome feat. And last thing I want to mention is I pretty much mailed it in high school. I did not do well academically. I just did enough to stay eligible to play baseball because I thought to myself, what's the point? I'm not college material. But after I graduated high school, I thought to myself, I just made this goal of making my varsity baseball team. I have cerebral palsy. I thought it was near impossible goal that I made for myself, but I was able to accomplish this. So why not set another goal for myself to be college material? So I enrolled in a junior college because I was the only place that would accept me. I got myself a math tutor, regular tutor. I went to the math lab. I did everything necessary to increase my grade point average. And with all this hard work, I was able to transfer to a four-year university where I was able to graduate, and I was college material. So I'm on a mission for everybody to grab their pen and write the story they want for their lives, not for anybody else. All through my life, people wanted to grab that pen and write the story for me. And all through my life, I took that pen back and I wrote the story how I wanted it to go. And that's what I do for my clients. And I thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Oh, Paul, you know, I still get goosebumps when I hear your story. And there's so many poignant pieces to it. Obviously, the never ever, no quit attitude of your mom that she instilled in you to not quit, that you keep going as far as you can go. And, when you get to that goal, go to the next goal. You keep breaking through those barriers and those walls. And I think that is a testimony. Your life is a testimony to your mother's instinct to know that, I'm not going to accept the no, and that can't, and he won't be. And, we're going to set the tone. We're going to set the journey. And now you're carrying that. And what a legacy that your mom is instilled in you, that you're instilling with other people. Because there's so many of us out there that need that encouragement. Not everyone has a mom like yours, number one. But a lot of people do face those adversities, and it's not about, really, do you break through the wall? It's the journey to break through the wall, and how it actually changes your mindset to say, you know what, it's baby steps. All these little stepping stones led me to a bigger stepping stone, and that bigger stepping stone led me to a bigger goal. And you just didn't quit, and that was instilled by your mom, and I absolutely love that. Don't you, Jan? I mean, it's just, I love it.
Again, and we've said this before, every time we hear Paul's story, I'm just so inspired. And I think of him, of course, and I think of his mom going to each doctor's appointment and being that force. Like I am not taking no for an answer. Like, I need to find some solutions for my son. And my eyes well up. So my eyes are welling up, and it's hard to see right now, but love your story. And, it just says so much for moms in general, that not taking moms know.
They do.
And of course, that's a personal thing for me as well. But we want to introduce our next guest. This lady, Alexi, she absolutely cracks me up. She has such a sense of humor. We love how she shares her journey and what she's passionate about. She happened to be our second guest of 2020, and we've had her on quite a few times. She's been on for our 250th, as well as Paul and Carolyn and Helen were on our 250th. Welcome back, Alexi. It's always exciting to have a conversation with you.
Well, thank you so much. Such inspirational stories from everybody. Oh my gosh. I just, I'm in awe. I don't know. I just feel humbled to be in that company. So anyway, how I started my journey. More than 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't know anything about health, but I knew I was not going to go the traditional route. After research at libraries and bookstores, because 22 years ago, you didn't have the internet availability, I changed lifestyle habits, and within a year, without any medical intervention, drugs, or surgery, I was cancer-free. So that started my journey onto health. So I learned everything I could about health and healing the holistic way. I had been a traditional chef, so I switched it to a plant-based chef, but I still kept my finger in the food arena, so to speak. And then I was working at a nursing home, and it was lunchtime. In the one dining room, you could hear the residents all animated, having a lively conversation. And just a short walk down the hallway was another dining room where I was stationed, about 24 women seated at tables of 4. We had to visually show on 2 plates their entree choices. Some had to have their food cut up, some had to be fed, some were feeding themselves like a 4-year-old. All you could hear was the knives and forks on the plates. There was no eye contact, no social interaction. Victims of dementia. And some of these women were only in their 50s. And it just broke my heart. I thought, the world has to know. So that's how I got onto the path of dementia. But dementia affects women 3 times more often than men because of hormonal changes. So what I really focus on, I sort of use the blue zones, which is 5 groups of communities worldwide that boast the healthiest, longest living well into their 90s and 100s based on a number of lifestyle habits. So one of them, they have a very strong social community. Everybody supports one another, and we're not meant to be solo creatures. COVID has done a number on a lot of people with the social isolation, especially in nursing homes and seniors residents. So really make a point to connect with a friend or friends. Make it a daily, if not a weekly habit. If you can't do it in person, the Zoom calls, absolutely. Really important also is rest. Blue mind, which is a word coined by Dr. Wallace Nichols. Anytime we are in, on, or near water, we are in a semi-meditative state. So why do people flock to the cottages in the summer? There's powerboating, kayaking, canoeing, sailing, skiing. There's waterfalls, there's swimming, there's water fountains, there's snowboarding and skiing in the wintertime. So what can you do to connect with water on some level? Ideally at home is a bath, and baths are not exclusive to women only. So light candles, music, you can have water drops or waves crashing against the shore as a backdrop on your computer. So do something to create that blue mind, which is very relaxing. And also, I just like to point out rest. You need rest, not in the forms of sleep, but rest from social media, rest from the internet, rest from the loud city noises, rest from music, rest from the chaos of where you are working or maybe your family. So really take the time to rest, to practice blue mind, to be in social communities, and never forget to be grateful, because there's always something to be grateful for. When you get up in the morning, just think, what can I do today? What am I grateful for? Whose life can I impact? Who can I mentor? What little random acts of kindness can I show? So rest, gratitude is very paramount for everybody. So that's all she wrote.
I love that, because that goes so much with, we always talk about that, Ziegfeld's famous line that the greatest of all human emotion is gratitude. And we celebrate that every day, but also on a Wealth Wellness Wednesday. And it is so paramount, and it is so funny, perfect example of that mindset. Whereas I've always wanted to be close to the ocean, but 30 some odd, whatever years it was, I wanted a pool. And when we end up relocating to Florida, I said, I want to make sure that, the sanction of our home is one that I'm not going to feel, when you go on vacation and you dread, oh, I'm going home, that kind of, I wanted my own sanctuary in my home. So we do have a beautiful pool with a nice waterfall. And I wake up every day and I just immediately feel that gratitude of just being able to hear the trickle of getting my mind into that blue mindset. And it just, we laugh about it all the time if we go away. We never have that, oh, we're going home. Like, we're going home. We're so excited to be home. And I think, like you said, you don't have a pool, no worries. There's so many instruments out there that can create that tranquility. You can do it with mood lighting, and get into that restful, peaceful state. And it's so important. I love that, Alex. I love that.
Yeah, and you know, I so relate to what you said, Alexi. And you know, for me, having the gratitude, I was having a conversation with my son last week. I believe it was Thanksgiving Day, actually. And he, in my opinion, as most of you know, my son suffered a life-threatening injury back in July and had 3 hospitalizations altogether. And what we were talking about was, I said to him, you know, I'm grateful every day, but so much today, I'm feeling such gratitude and blessings in my heart, because I firmly believe, of course, you know, I never wanted my son to go through what he went through, but I have gratitude and blessings and feel such emotion, because each time that something did happen, somebody was there and took immediate action. And that's why I have such gratitude. And we had such a great conversation about it. And, you know, the need to rest, to listen to your body, and to disconnect when you feel that you need to disconnect. And, you know, like somebody will say to me, well, didn't you see this post, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, no, I haven't actually been on social media that much. Obviously, I'm on Facebook every morning with TwoSistas, of course, but you know, it just goes to show you, having that gratitude for, in the midst of the storm, that there are blessings. And by the way, I still firmly believe his progression thus far, my opinion, is miraculous.
Mm.
Absolutely. Now, Alexi, before we have you tell your joke, because we want to actually close with that, because it is Monday Mindset, and all of you together have just brought so much joy, some great information. I'm going to ask you each one question. And after that question, we also want to we want our viewers and listeners to know how they can get a hold of you. So I'm going to start with Chris. Monday Mindset, what would be the one thing that you would encourage someone to do to get that healthy mindset? And then the second part would be, where can someone reach you?
I think one of my favorite lines is for people to look at their lives as practice. Like when I changed my mindset to from being, this is the way my life is, and blah, blah, blah. It just, you can kind of feel the negativity of it. When you focus on your life as practice, like a physician's practice or an attorney's practice, they're always learning. Man, oh man, do we change. We change so dramatically because we give ourselves space to be better. And one of the things that I think it was Carolyn mentioned was about being curious. And one of the things that fascinates me, above the line, fear-based, victim, all that. Below the line, curious. I'm curious about why somebody's behaving the way, why am I behaving the way I'm behaving? So I think one of the most important things is to look at your life as practice. It opens up that room. As far as finding me, you can find me at ohthestorieswetell.com, on Facebook and Instagram at ohthestories. And I would love it if your listeners would go to YouTube, search for Oh the Stories We Tell. You'll see a little blue logo with orange writing, Oh the Stories We Tell, in it. And please go to that page. Please like it. Want the vanity URL for that. And on that page is what's called the Honesty Project playlist. And it's me and a friend who's gone through a very rough upbringing and now in her 60s, still trying to figure things out. And it's just us talking about different things, whether it's, you know, annoying coworkers or being in relationships, that sort of thing. Anyway, it's a fabulous piece. There are about 14 videos there, and you'll find it really helpful in terms of kind of incorporating this into your life.
I love that because a lot of times, you can just look, so many times, like if you're doing something mundane at home, like folding clothes, right? Or, prep work for, recipes or cooking or whatever. And I love to hear different podcasts or YouTube videos, whatever, because I often find myself stopping and like cracking up, like, oh my God, I can so relate to that. It's so funny. And I think that's the beauty, one of the beautiful things of the last 2 years is it has brought people more into like, you know what? I want to share. I've got something that I think is going to add value. And I think collectively, so many people do. And it's the greatest gift of sharing. You're sharing your life, your ups and downs, because it's relatable and you never know what part of your journey is going to touch somebody. So I absolutely love that, Chris. That's awesome. Jan, who would you like to ask the question about Monday Mindset? Who's next?
Carolyn, Monday Mindset. Obviously, I'm still in the process of reading your book, and I love it. Each chapter, there's table talk. What is one of your most favorite table talk conversations or questions that you ask your reader?
What is the most interesting question? Let me see. I think that, I don't know if it's a question, but I think that somewhere in the conversation, there is a veering towards helping people to understand the value that they bring, and that everybody is looking for purpose in their life. How can I live a meaningful life? How can I live a successful life? And I think that many people are getting beyond. One of the things with COVID and the pandemic is that people are saying that, it's not about the job anymore. And so they're saying, I don't want to just live. I don't want to just do a job because it pays me X amount of dollars and it allows me to live this type of lifestyle. I really want to make a difference. And so I think the question that all of us are asking is, how can I make a difference in the world? And one of the things that I want to just say to everybody is that you were created to make a difference. The world has sort of told us, well, you have to fit into this box or fit this criteria, but you don't. You were created to make a difference. I'm a person of faith, and I believe that God created us with purpose already in us. The problem is that we are looking outside and saying, I've got to do this, instead of looking in and saying, what makes me so unique that when I show up, I can change things. And I think even with Alexi, I'm looking forward to her joke, but even something as simple as when you show up and you are able to make people laugh, that's amazing. You have made a difference that day. And I know her skill set is much more than that, but sometimes it's just that simple. I know this pastor, and he has such a love for people that when he walks in the room, he doesn't even have to say anything to you. You just feel loved, and he'll come up and he'll give you this big hug, and you see this smile on his face. He's making a difference. And so my quest for every person that I meet, and specifically for women, is to help them to understand that you were created to make a difference. Stop focusing on all this outward stuff and dig inside and see, what did God put inside of you, and use that to take it to the world, because it wasn't meant for you. It was meant for somebody else. And so that's what excites me. That is the thing that I hope that at the end of the day, when people have finished reading the book, that they saw these stories of women just having these conversations and making statements and asking questions and inspiring the person that they are with at that very moment, to see something that's great or something that has been hidden inside of them. And so that's my table talk.
Oh, we love Carolyn's table talk. Carol Sue, take it away. Who's next?
Before that, Carolyn, where can someone meet?
Oh, yes.
You? Yes.
CarolynAWarren.com. Just Google me. I'm on Facebook. And I have a Facebook group, The Women at the Table, the book. So if you want to join my Facebook group, you can do that. And otherwise, CarolynAWarren.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Paul, what can you share about Monday Mindset? And also don't forget to share where our viewers and listeners can reach out to you.
I think I want to share this. Every single person in this world has a unique talent. It's up to us to find out what that unique talent is. And once we find out what that unique talent is, share it with the world to see. And I think that the world will be a greater place if we do that. And to get in touch with me, two good ways. One is my website, a call to action.coach. And secondly, through my Facebook group, Rewrite Your Story. Come on in, tell your story. No judgment, only support. And I thanks again for having me on. 350, what an accomplishment.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. You're always so inspirational. I love that. Go ahead, Jan.
So the Ms. Helen Rose, would you share with us Monday Mindset? I know you have a lot of gems.
Oh my God, I made so many notes. And everyone, what I love is we all have weaved in exactly the same message is, so what I'm going to say is journal, 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 get in touch with your emotions, understand why you react the way you do to things, and find your gift, because absolutely, Carolyn, you were absolutely right. We all have a purpose. And if we tap into that, oh boy, that is gold, isn't it? And the one thing that I would love everyone to know is you're not alone. I mean, when we're going through all these things, we think, oh my gosh, no one understands how we feel. I'm never going to make it, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So you're not alone. You can reach out to me. So I have so many things to do. So I've got my podcast, which is called Sharing Stories with Helen Rose. I'm on Spotify and all of iTunes, all of them. And you can find me at thegiftofbeingpresent.com. Even if you just Google helenrose.ca, it'll pop over to my website. And the most exciting thing is my Greek retreat coming up in September of 2022. I'm so excited to bring a whole bunch of people from all over the world with me to find their gift. And congratulations, you know, I am big fans of, actually now I'm a big fan of everybody here, because just listening to your stories, it's like, wow. Anyway, thank you. And congratulations again on 350. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. And again, you know, you inspire us to do better and be better. And I love the collaboration that we bring so many with different backgrounds, different talents, different stories, because they all impact viewers, listeners from all over. So we absolutely love that. And of course, you know, it is 350, but we always like to have a little joke. But before we get to that joke, Alexi, what would you like to tell our audience and viewers about something about Monday Mindset, and where could they locate you? And then I'm so anticipating this joke. It's going to be a good one.
For me, I think the big thing is gratitude. Gratitude coupled with kindness. It only takes 10 seconds to say, or a gesture to show kindness, even if, you know, rubbing somebody's arm, opening the door for somebody. You know, I was recently, I fell and I broke my femur. So I was recently hospitalized, and I realized for the nurses, it has become a job. You know, they didn't have that 10 seconds just to say something nice, just meaningful. They're like in and out. Whereas I found that the younger occupational therapists and physiotherapists that were younger women were not jaded yet, and they still have that time to say that extra kind word or extra gesture or even a smile. So like I said, it only takes 10 seconds to show a little bit of gratitude or kindness to everybody. And so everybody can practice that every day. And before or as your head hits the pillow at night when you're going to sleep, think of 3 people you have encountered that day and why you are grateful for. And the next day, it has to be another different 3 people. Because there's always something.
Again, power of 3. I love that.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
always something to be grateful for. So how I started this joke telling journey, so to speak, I was actually getting some instruction from a coach on to do my signature talk. And so I just started automatically telling jokes because I used to work at a fishing lodge. And for 4 summers, I worked at this one fishing lodge. And 90% of the guests were return fishermen. And some of them had been coming like 50 and 60 years. They are now bringing their grandchildren. So after dinner, or at dinner, I would go out and talk to them. Well, what am I going to talk to them about? Fishing? No. So I started telling jokes. So every year I started accumulating jokes like, oh, Alexi, you're back. Have you got a joke? So they had to be clean. But this is a little bit of an exception, but you will get my point. Mrs. Fitzpatrick is walking down the street in Dublin, and across the road is Father Sullivan. Oh, Mrs. Fitzpatrick, didn't I marry you and your husband a few years ago? Oh, yes, you did, Father. Would there be any wee ones? Oh, no, not yet, Father. Oh, that's too bad. But I tell you what, I'm going to Rome next week, so I'll light a fertility candle. Oh, that would be lovely, Father. Thank you. Many years go by. Mrs. Fitzpatrick's walking down the same street in Dublin, and across the road is Father Sullivan. Mrs. Fitzpatrick, how nice to see you. Any wee ones yet? Oh, yes, Father. We have 2 sets of twins and 3 singles, a full house. Oh, my, that is lovely. And how would your husband be? Oh, he's gone to Rome to blow out the fucking candle.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
We can always count on you for some. So I absolutely love it. It's perfect. It is perfect. We cannot thank all of you. We have so much gratitude on our hearts for each and every one of you to celebrate this milestone. We didn't think we would, when we started out, that this is where we would, what our journey would be. But the amazing piece to the journey is not only being authentically us, but collaborating and, really locking arms with others that are like-minded, but are different-minded. And we love that about that, because it's a collection of a collaboration of mindset, personalities, and perseverance, in knowing that all of you have got so much to share with everyone in the world that, is impacting so many people. It's so powerful that we can all do it together. And I am so grateful. Jan, what do you think?
I have such gratitude in my heart. I feel amazing. I feel blessed that we are in the company of such amazing people, that we are able to connect from all over the United States, even out of the country, from Florida to where Helen is, where I know it's probably really cold and there's probably a lot of snow on the ground. And, isn't that amazing? What an impact zone to be able to have that gratitude, but more importantly, to create that ripple effect. 350 episodes. You start a journey, sometimes you're on that path and it weaves in and out. And here we are, 350 episodes later. Thank you all so much for being here today. Oh my gosh. There's so much more I could say. And I should come up with something about something, but nothing about nothing. But what I will say about the cooking aspect, because we kind of started the show with that. Who here is sick of turkey? Raise your hands.
Nope.
I froze everything yesterday. And by the way, I made the gravy. It was terrible. So that's my something about something, and really nothing about nothing. But on that note, it is Mindset Monday with Two Sisters. We want to thank Chris, Carolyn, Alexi, Helen, and Paul. Such gratitude and love.
Love you guys.
We love you too. My name is Janice, very emotional Janice, Wellness Diva 5.0 with two
sisters, and this is Carol, so AKA Naughty Bus, live with an amazing group of people. We cannot thank you enough. We have so much joy and gratitude in our hearts that you could share this momentous occasion with all of us. But guess what? We have given you some great advice. We've given you some tips. We've given you ways on you to create your dream, your goals, your visions. Just go out there and do them. You know what? If you don't think you can, guess what? Rewatch this video again and know that you have it within you to build anything that you want. Do not let your goals and dreams go in the graveyard. Absolutely not. Go out there and impact other people. Remember, with gratitude and kindness, and let's start that ripple train, the kindness train, right? That's going to be our Polar Express train. It's all about kindness and giving. With that, we are so grateful and blessed. We will see you tomorrow for Triumph Tuesday. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. That's great. Awesome.